Everyone is in a different timeline than you are, because you are creating this reality. And those who are on a timeline closest to you, closer to you, are the people that are directly in your life. That is why you see people together, like whether partners or whatever, doing the same things, experiencing the same things together, because their timelines are merging. This becomes where who you hang out with is extremely important, because you can merge timelines with them. And if you are uncomfortable around somebody, you don't feel like you can be yourself, they have a completely different beliefs and views as you, and different values, they are nowhere near your exact timeline. But anyway, my name is Sarah, and I help people access their full potential by freeing their energy. Links are in the bio. Now, our consciousness is the root of what timeline we're in. It's literally where we are in time and space, which isn't real. So, how do I explain this in a way? So there are people who live in a timeline of anxiety and stress, and maybe they have chaos in their life. These people will tend to be in like organized religion, or they'll watch news all the time. So they're really in that timeline of chaos and stress, and you'll feel like the vibrational difference from when you're next to them. Even if you go into somebody's home who are extremely different from you or on a different timeline than you can feel that. It's almost like an energy grinding feeling of nails on a chalkboard. If you get really sensitive to this and you you have cut out those nasty timelines, you can feel this in your body. That's why also when you do work on yourself in your internal world, because your internal world creates your outer world, when you do work on that, that's why some people fall away. They disappear off the face of the earth, or they ghost you, or you just unintentionally ghost them. They just disappear. It's because they're no longer in your higher timeline. And yeah, that can be stressful if it's somebody that you really cared about and you really knew. However, if you want to move up in your career, money, relationships, this is where they have to kind of drop off, because if you mingle timelines with them, it's going to hold you back longer. It's going to keep you stuck in the space that you're in. It's like when people talk about vibration, they're really talking about the vibration of the timelines. So if you want to quantum shift, quantum leap into timelines where you are rich, you have nice things, you experience peace. You don't want to intermingle with people who have chaos in their life and anxiety constantly. You want to keep your timeline clean, basically. And you can actually bring people into your current timeline and vibration by being around them. However, more than likely, they're going to drag you down, because that's kind of how it's designed. Unless they know about it and they're willing to look at themselves and look at what's coming up for them, just being in your energy is going to bring stuff up in them, because you are somewhere else completely, and they can feel that. This is why your energy might irritate people. certain people might not be able to be around you, or they just don't like you and they don't understand why, because it's just for seemingly no reason. It's because your presence brings up stuff in them that is holding them back from their highest timeline. And I do say timeline so it's easier to understand, but it's more like bubbles. There are universal bubbles everywhere. It is not a straight line. Time is not linear. Like, there's no line, but you do jump from certain bubbles in reality, and it's your bubble. You have your own bubble that you exist in, and what happens inside of your bubble is your reality. And it can kind of link to other people's bubbles and either drag you down, or you can bring them up if they're willing to look at themselves and to change. And if you are trying to advance spiritually or move up, like in your career or in love, and there's somebody around you that is holding you back in some way, you can feel the tension every time you up level spiritually, especially if you're working with the infernal energies. When you up level spiritually and move into that higher timeline in your body, because that's where it's happening, there's begins to be a friction between that person and yourself. So maybe you were in a toxic relationship at one point in your life, and you started to advance spiritually, because this is what happened to me. I was in this 10-year toxic relationship, and then I started working with the infernals, and it created a lot of tension in my energy and his energy, and it forced him to look at himself, because I was evolving, but he was unwilling to evolve or look at himself, because, well, some people cannot handle that kind of, they can't handle their shadow. So when you change yourself and you're in a relationship, if that person cannot go up with you and switch timelines with you, they're going to fall off one way or another. Like, you're going to leave them, or they're going to leave you, or they're going to completely lose their fucking mind. Like, that's how it works. And if you do end up leaving, and sometimes we go backwards, and that's okay. That's like a part of the process. It's kind of like you go up, then you come a little bit down, and then you skyrocket back up again, and then you come down a little bit, then you bounce back up higher than you were. So you have to be aware, if you are leaving a toxic relationship and you move up spiritually, not to, while you're bouncing back, because that's a very traumatic experience. Leaving a long-term relationship or leaving a relationship with somebody is a traumatic experience. It's going to push you back a little bit. It's going to force you to move back and rest. So that's why it's important to take a break in between dating anybody, because you can end up jumping to somebody else who is nearly a vibrational match to the person that you just left. So leaving this kind of toxic relationship dynamic through quantum leaping, it's important to call back your power, cut soul entanglements, and give yourself soul retrieval. Do a lot of soul retrieval and shadow work before getting involved again with somebody else, because you're going to end up with the same person all over again. Wait until after that traumatic experience. So wait till you bounce back up so that you don't end up in the same situation, because you go from here back down to here and then back up again. So you want to wait until you're up. That way, you know, toxic people come along and you're going to be like, no, thank you. I've been there, done that. And you're going to recognize the red flags and also that feeling of friction, because they are not a match with you. They're not in your timeline. Don't drag yourself down to their shitty timeline. And that's when like shadow work is really important. Be like, okay, so why was I here? What was I doing there? You know, not so much blame on the other person, because that's going to keep you in a victim mindset, but more like, okay, why am I here? Why was I here? Why did I make this decision? Why did I stay in this, even though, you know, it was bad? Why did I not see that it was bad? Back then, you might start seeing things that you didn't see when you get away from the situation. Like, why did I allow that to happen? Like, you want to ask those kind of questions, not out of judgment, but out of curiosity as to like, okay, why did this happen? Let's get down to the root of it. Okay, is it because I didn't feel worthy? Is it because I needed some kind of validation? Was I trying to marry my dad? You know, like, you really want to ask these questions and get to the bottom of them before moving on to another relationship. So if you are in this cycle of toxic relationship, single, another toxic relationship, then it's important to understand and start looking at yourself, because not all men suck, not all women suck. Maybe you suck a little, you know, and that's okay. Be like, okay, so what is inside me that's causing this to happen? And then you're going to start noticing the good people. You're going to stop chasing. You're going to be like, no, I know what I deserve. I know exactly what I want. Are you this or are you not this? And you're going to start recognizing that friction when somebody is not in your spiritual timeline, because that's what it is. It's all timeline dynamics. It's not just relationship dynamics. I know everything changed for me once I started asking those questions. Once I stopped chasing people. You know, maybe you are on your phone on Tinder and you're just like, oh no, I know this date is it. This man is going to be it. I know my man is on Tinder and I'm going to meet him. And maybe that's true. But if you are scrolling and talking to people, that's avoidance. That's avoidance. You're avoiding your shadow. You're avoiding the negative feelings of, okay, maybe there's something going on with inside me that is causing me to be attracted to these people. Okay. And once you kind of work through all that, you're going to start meeting better people, because the negative people are not on your timeline at all. They don't exist on your timeline. They cannot access your energy. I stopped looking and started working on myself. And that's when a wonderful man came into my life. I was perfectly happy with being single forever. Like, that's what it was. Anyway, guys, comment if you have any questions or if you have experienced this yourself. And my link is in the description. I have classes and you can apply to work with me one-on-one if you have any questions. So my classes consist of helping remove soul entanglements, which can cause you to loop in these cycles, soul retrieval, which can keep you stuck in a shitty timeline and you not even know it. Like, those are the big ones that we work through in my Astral Mastery class. So yeah. And if you have any questions, leave a comment or email me at blacktreeblueraven@gmail.com. Bye, guys.